It's time to enter the drone zone with me, James Drone, aka Pure Ambient Drone. So hit that subscribe button, tap that bell, and get ready to synth on. Hey there, Synth Drones. Welcome to Synth Talk edition, episode, whatever you want to call it, number 8. I am so happy to be here. I borrowed the tagline, The Drone Zone, from a commenter whose first name is Jack, but I'm not going to say his last name because it's spelled funny to pronounce a profanity. I'm not all into that. This is a clean family show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really having a whole lot of fun with this radio format kind of thing, you know. It's so cool because it gets us away from the visual and lets our mind get stretched out a little bit. Isn't it so much cooler to kind of just take a break off all of the YouTube visuals? Nothing against visuals, okay? I like eye candy. But it's just so cool to sit back and just kind of close your eyes and imagine what's going on as somebody talks about something. I always thought that that was missing from YouTube. So I like this format, and I'm getting some really great feedback, and I want to thank everybody who's supporting this so far. Don't forget that sharing this video and recommending it to other people, that will help this show grow and encourage me to keep doing more of these. I love all of you guys. You guys are awesome. You know that? So yeah, man, you know, this is just talk about anything, okay? But I always try to involve synthesizers. And last night I told a spooky story about a haunted synthesizer. And I think I scared a few of you, okay? I know that some of my friends called me up and they're like, oh man, you had to go there? I'm hearing my synth play in the middle of the night now and I'm seeing spooky things. Oh, it's just a great time. Oh man. I'm sorry if I scared anybody with that. Yeah, that was not intentional. Yes, it was. But I hope you guys really understand that this format is just about anything in general. It's just to have a good time. You know, we don't have to take it too seriously, right? You know, today I was surfing around for some vintage synthesizers, just window shopping. I promise. I didn't buy anything. And I come across the, oh my gosh, the sequential DSI. It was under Dave Smith Instruments, Poly Evolver, and it was the rack. And somebody wanted, well, let's see, I've got it saved under my watch list. I'm watching this, you know. Let's see, they want $2,500 and $50 shipping. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, hold the phone. Okay, so we want $2,550 for a 4 poly rack Dave Smith Evolver. Yes, it's great. I've had a poly Evolver and I've had the rack. But $2,500 and the shipping, that brings it up to $2,550. I think it's a little bit too much. But now listen, I'm not here to complain about anything. I'm here to talk about value and synthesizers and what things are worth and where we need to be when we're looking at stuff. And I think we're in a I don't know, I think we're just in this world right now where prices of, and I've said this a lot of times, prices of vintage synthesizers are just going through the roof. And I don't think all of them are worth it. It doesn't make them bad synthesizers. I love the Poly Evolver. But I eventually sold it, and it was one of those synthesizers that I was actually thinking about keeping forever. And I even did a video how this was going to be my desert island synthesizer and all that stuff. And yes, it would have been. And I added another 4 voices to it with the rack. It was an 8-voice hybrid poly. But you know what? It's too much money. And it's not worth the money secondhand. This is not a discredit to Mr. Dave Smith himself. He did a fantastic job on that synthesizer. Just a great job. But we have too many choices in today's world to where I would want to spend or even keep a 4-note poly synth, okay, for over $2,000. And I made the decision to sell my poly evolvers because I got top dollar for them. And I don't think they're worth that kind of money at this time. I don't think they'll ever be worth that kind of money. But I know that there could be somebody out there listening to this right now saying, he's slamming Dave Smith's poly evolvers. No, I am not. We are talking about worth, okay? And there's plenty of stuff out there that I want to talk about today. Oberheim Matrix. Oh, fantastic synthesizer. The problem is that you have limited editing abilities. Okay. I'm looking at one right now, and they go upwards north of $1,000 and up. And they're just not worth it because of today's market. Not because they're a bad synthesizer, not because I have anything against them, not because I would never want to own them. I want to own every synthesizer I can own if possible. Okay, with that being said, though, we have so many incredible choices that even if we can't buy something at the same price that we're looking at, we could at least come close to it. All right. So what's close to an Oberheim Matrix 6? Well, you know what? In that price range, in the $1,000 and above, okay, north of $1,000, we're already looking at Korg prologues, either 8 voice or 16. Now, yes, they could cost you more money, probably not secondhand though, because I've actually seen a prologue. I've actually seen a prologue 8 voice for under $1,000, and it's a VCO synthesizer opposed to a DCO. Nothing against DCOs. I'm just saying that you usually have to pay a little bit more money for a VCO anyway. And to get a Korg Poly that is like in newer condition that you can tweak because all the knobs are there for around the same price as the Oberheim Matrix 6 keyboard, right? And in some cases, even the rack edition. Don't even get me started on the Matrix 1000 because there's absolutely no editing whatsoever there. But the Oberheim Matrix is a tedious editing process. Yes, you can do it, and yes, you can get used to it. I get it. But there are so many other choices. So I'm not bashing the synthesizer, and I got to just make that clear because I am never into synthesizer bashing. I don't do that, okay? But what I do is I compare prices and value. Now, with that being said, if you like the Oberheim Matrix 6, yes, it's worth every penny. If you cannot do without the Poly Evolver rack and the sound or the keyboard, yes, it's worth $2,500 plus shipping. Yes, it is. But we can do better in today's market, and there's so many choices. So I'm thinking, if I was going to get a Poly Evolver rack plus another additional 4 voices because I like long drawn out pads, that's going to run me almost, if not more, than $4,000. Okay, and that's a lot of money. But then I thought about it. We already have a hybrid that's close enough to the Poly Evolver, and what is that? That is the Korg Minilog XD. Yeah. And you can poly chain those just like you can the Poly Evolver with the rack and all of that good stuff, right? Because that's what I did. I had the keyboard, the rack, I poly chained them, bam. So we can go another route and we can do it a lot cheaper because we could still be we could still be south of $1,000 when we go Minilog XD. Isn't that exciting? I think it's exciting. I think it's exciting that we're living in a time where we have so many choices that when you start comparing the prices of vintage gear to some of the stuff that's out there that's new. Now, that's not to say that vintage gear has no value because I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the prices have gotten a little out of control. And we need to be careful when we're shopping for these things because we read and hear and watch propaganda about these synthesizers, and then we just go like kind of crazy thinking, ooh, I could own a legend. A synthesizer is only a legend if somebody has used it to a point to where it has done something special musically. And what I mean by that is that if John Carpenter didn't use the incredible Sequential Circuits Prophet 5, if nobody ever used it, would we still think that it was as legendary as it is? And did they use it because it was legendary? Well, at the time that it came out, it's very innovative. And it is a synthesizer to be reckoned with, especially in its day. But now we have a Prophet 6. So there is no way. $8,000, I'm looking at one right now online, listed.
I don't know if they'll get it, okay? For this kind of money, you could buy a boatload of Prophet 6 synthesizers and you could marry them up. You could polychain them for 12 voices. You could buy two of them. You could buy one in a module. There's an idea. And have a 12 voice poly 6 and not be stuck with just five. Or just buy one and have six voices. And the presets from the original five, bam, they're all in there in the Prophet 6. Yes, we can argue all day long. It doesn't sound the same. And I would agree with you. But what about the $8,000 that you'd be paying for one synth and then the 2,000 and change that you'd be paying for the other? And plus you'd have a newer synthesizer with all the modern features that Sequential has put into them. So I really think he did a great sequel, and I don't think that these synthesizers are any more than museum pieces in some cases because there's better alternatives at a lower price. And no, I'm not trying to drive prices down because I'm not going to buy a Prophet 5 because even if it came down 1,000 or two, it is way too much money for me. Now, you know what else I'm looking at? I'm looking at right now a Roland JX8P, and this person, they want $3,000 for it because they're saying it's new old stock. But I see a picture of it and it's out of the box. Okay? If I'm going to pay $3,000 for a JX3P, I want to see it in the box. I want to open it up. I want to, like, this is new old stock. I want to see it. And here's the funny thing. I'm looking at it and there looks like there's marks on it. So how can there be marks on this thing and even a little bit of what looks like to me scratches or even corrosion on the screws? Fantastic synthesizers. They sound great. They're not worth $3,000. So you understand, I'm not attacking synthesizers. I'm attacking the outrageous prices. These are all great synthesizers. They're synthesizers I wouldn't mind owning, but not for these prices. I just wouldn't. So we have a modified, upgraded Roland Juno 106. I have a modified, upgraded Juno 106. This person wants $2,350. I'm going to look at the shipping because that you got to watch the shipping. The shipping is $255. Now, what is it? It's fully restored, it's upgraded, it's modified. I don't know what all the modifications are, but I got my Juno 6 relatively cheap. And it's totally restored. It's totally immaculate. It's even got the modified blue LED in it. And I just bought this thing a few years back. There's no way that it's worth $2,350 now. But I could be wrong. I just don't think a Juno 106 is worth that kind of money. When I saw Jupiter 6s around the $2,000 mark, I thought they were too much money. And now they're like $4,000 and climbing. Just last year, I remember because I was kind of like thinking about getting one of these. And I seen these things going for $2,900 to $3,000 and change. Now they're $4,000 everywhere I look. And they're all listed in either, like very good or kind of good condition. Man, that's a lot of money for an old synthesizer. And the MIDI is limited on it, and it's mono out for the audio jack. Oh man, that's a lot of cash. Here's the thing. When you start paying this kind of money for synthesizers, you're getting into used car territory. If I sound like I'm complaining, I apologize. I'm not trying to complain. It's just that I see people get snagged by these. Now, vintage synthesizers. I own some. I own a Juno 106. I own a 6-track, just to name a few. Oh, I own some Juno 2s as well. And you want to know something? I didn't pay very much for them, and they're all in fantastic condition. Okay? Very good, very fantastic condition. And it's because you have to bargain hunt. That's what it is. You have to think about what you're doing and don't let gas get control of you. Because all of these synthesizers I talked about tonight are fantastic synthesizers. And yes, we can get into the details about them and read up. But I've always found that there's something about listings of vintage synthesizers that they always, in most cases, I shouldn't say always, in most cases, the seller makes them sound super good, and then they kind of like list the problems. So they might start out. I mean, my buddy and I, we joke about it. In perfect condition, except it doesn't turn on. The keys are broken in 3 places. So yeah, they start out saying this is a fantastic synthesizer, except, and then they start listening to these things off. And so you got to be careful when you buy these things because you are buying old stuff. So with that being said, I'm not trying to bash any synthesizer. Everything, I want to say it again, everything I mentioned on here tonight are fantastic. The only issue I have is that the prices are too high. Now, maybe in 5 or 10 years, when they become a little more scarce, yes, they're going to be more valuable. And not only that, we have to count for inflation. We're just, in my opinion, not there yet. I love vintage gear, but I think it's getting out of control. And mostly, I think it's because we have so many choices on the market right now. Sequential makes a great line of synthesizers that are fully analog if you want to go analog. If you want to go digital, then you've got Roland. They make all kinds of awesome Roland gear that's digital. They even make hybrids like the JDXA. You can go there. We have so many choices today with real-time editing for most of the synthesizers that are coming out now. It is a no-brainer to shop the new market first if you absolutely don't need a vintage synthesizer. So these are my thoughts. When I saw that Poly Evolver today, I was so disappointed. I'm like, no way can these prices be going that high. I've seen Poly Evolver keyboards go for around $2,200. I don't know if they sold, but I've seen them listed at that price. But I never paid that high for a Poly Evolver ever. And I know I'm speaking about that in the past, but even when I sold my Poly Evolver in my rack earlier this year, I didn't ask no $2,000 for it. That's a lot of money. So just think about what you're doing before you get into the vintage market, if that's what you've been thinking about doing, and give the new stuff a chance because there are so many great synthesizers. I wouldn't call them alternatives right now because not every single synthesizer on the market today is a clone, okay? But if you're looking for something that's real close to a clone, I wouldn't call it 100% clone, but you can check out the Behringer gear. Very inexpensive gear. And if you want to try out a vintage sounding like synth, then those would be another option for you to go in and much less expensive than trying the real deal. Now, I have bought vintage gear in the past that has totally disappointed me. And I would just like, from the very first keys, and I'm not going to name it, okay, because I'm not into synth bashing. All right, I don't want it to go that direction. I say something negative about a synth, and then the comment fills up. Yeah, I hate that too. No, I've just been disappointed with some older synth gear, but I've been disappointed with new synth gear too. That doesn't make them bad synthesizers. It just means they didn't jive with me. So if you find a clone or something that's close to a clone, okay, that's equivalent to the synthesizer that you're looking to get, try that out first. It's a lot cheaper. And in today's market and with today's online selling capabilities, if you don't like something, you can always sell it, provided you got a good deal on it. You won't lose too much. So that's about it for tonight's show. Hit that subscribe button, tap that bell. Be sure to keep up with all of my synth adventures by going to jamesdrone.com. And until next time, keep calm and synth on.